Good evening. Yes, I'm live now, and since you're probably watching this after the fact on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe and bell icon, the whole 9 yards. And yeah, the Anycubic Photon's outstanding for miniatures. And since he heard me talking to absolutely no one, little house panther here has decided to come by and say hi. Anyway, my plan for tonight is I'm going to be making a big demon. Not winged, not tailed, just kind of big old monstrous demonic thing. Yeah? What do you say, a demonic thing? Okay, apparently he just wants to snuggle. Good. Yes. Now, I'm putting you back down on the floor now. Yes, yes, I know. I'm putting you back down on the floor. Can you get your down, little buddy? Go. Shoot. Shoot, little buddy. No. No. Basically, I'm just going to make something big and burly with, both feet and monstrous clawed hands and face. And who knows what'll come up, whether it's going to be scaled or rocky or covered in shards of crystal or all of the above, none of the above. It might be just wrinkly, it might be furry, it might be vaguely reminiscent of a minotaur with bits and pieces of dragon. I don't know. I'm going to literally fly this one by the seat of my pants. Okay, not by the seat of my pants, that's, but definitely just off the top of my head. Okay, still got all my hair. So yeah, I can do it off the top of my head because I still got all my hair. Yeah, for now. I don't know. Do I? Am I starting to get a bald spot? I don't know. Doesn't look like it. Anyway, yes, I'm feeling rather goofy tonight. And there is a way for all of us to do it at once. Or not, I don't know. That was just me destroying my vocal cords by pretending to do a demon voice. So what we're going to do to start the whole thing, yes, we're starting a bit early. Bring that down a little bit. So that I can be on camera while I'm doing this. Oh, and by the way, this is my baby girl. Do you mind, little buddy? I blame the fuzz butt. Get down, little buddy. Down you go. Go. Alright. We got our basic figure here. Here's the basic default male thingy. And here we have the various races. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by trying to kind of blend some of these to get something kind of like what I'm looking for. So let's add in a little bit of catfolk just to change the shape of the face and the ears and start on the digitigrade leg side of things. And maybe some type 2 reptilian. No. Type 3 reptilian? No. We're just going to manually deal with the thing. Let's give him a little bit of orc. Expand that mouth. Okay. Let's give him a little bit of hulking. I'm really big. Make him more muscular. Exaggeratedly muscular. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and come over here and expand all. So we have the full list of the body parts. Now, We're going to shrink the hip and thighs. Not a lot, just some. Oh, it would help if I went there. And let's extend the abdomen with a Y scale. Then we're going to make the shoulders and forearms. Actually, no, let's just make the shoulders a little bit longer, just the shoulders. X scale them. Then we're going to select the forearms and hands on each side. And we're going to scale them completely. Okay, we're going to be a big old demonic thingy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shrink the shins. I scale it just a bit. Then we're going to bend them both. Back that way. And then we're going to twist calf so that the foot is pointing down, and then symmetry, right to left, accept, bing, there we go. We're going to bend the toes upward. Okay, so we're going to need to twist it a little bit like that, and a little bit more down. Okay, then we're going to take the foot and we're going to Z-scale it, because that would make it longer. And with the shin, we're going to untwist it so it's a bit more straight line. And then we're going to scale it just a bit. Alright, perspective. Then we're going to hit Control D to drop it up. Now we're going to select the toe, foot, and shin. And we're going to symmetry right to left so that we get why did that change? 100 100 100. Okay. And then we now have our basic shape for our demon. Let's make his shape a little bit more hunchbacked. So we're gonna pull this back a bit. Y scale it even more. And then bend the chest forward quite a bit. And Y scale it a little bit. And then we're going to select the chest and both collars, but not that brow. Oops. We're going to X scale them, make them a little bit broader. Going to make the abdomen a little bit broader. And then we're going to tilt the head back. And then select both collars. And we're going to twist them back so that the arms are kind of coming out straight. Just to judge. Okay. This is our basic pose for this demon shape. Now the thing is, actually what we need to do, let's go ahead and pin the translation and rotation for the calves, or the feet rather. Select the hip and go back a bit. Okay. Now this is basically just a default shape. This is not our Daemon. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make him a little bit bigger overall. Because let me go ahead and in here I have a height measure tool. As an example, basically every small notch would be scale equivalent of a foot, and every large notch is scale equivalent of 5. We want this guy to be about, be kind of big, but not size huge. So we're just going to scale him up overall to be about 10.5 feet tall. That'll do. So when he's standing upright, he's about 10.5 feet tall. And now we got to come up with a good pose for him. Actually, another thing we need to do while I'm thinking about it is we need to go ahead and load in a base. I'm actually going to load in just a plain base. Oh, a second. Sort by view list. Be easier. Okay. Base flat. And then with this, what we're going to do, we're going to try to leave it the basic height. We're going to double the X and Y scale. Actually, not double. It needs to be 180. Because this is a 25, and we want to take it to about 40 to 45. And then we're going to lower it until it's about... Let's go to the front view so we can see it a little bit better. There. Okay. That's where this base will be. We'll work on what it actually ends up looking like after we sculpt the Daemon himself. But now we need something for this guy. And let me peek back over here. And I appear to have 2 people watching. And I had a problem. Yeah. I could make the thighs larger. Why did I put that up? That needs to go bye-bye. I meant to click on this. I could make the thighs longer. What I really should do is make the calves even shorter. Oh, it would help if I unpin all. I'd rather have them have kind of short legs. I was petrified. Okay. Control D. Let's make that, let's bring that height measure back in, because we want to make him 10.5 feet tall. It needs to be just a little bit taller. Scale him up just a little bit more. About there. Yeah. Now, let's see. We are going to give him some clothing, but it's not going to be your standard clothing. It's going to be just a drapery. Okay? What we're going to do is expand all. We're going to select all the segments, Y-scale them quite a bit. We're also going to bring this up, bring it forward so we can see, and we're going to X-rotate it 180. Then we're going to kind of bring it up a bit, impact to about where the waist is. Now, we're going to select all the individual pieces again, and we're going to X scale them. This is just going to be kind of a dangly bit. All right. Now, let's zoom in on the dangly bit, and we got to parent it to his hip. And then hide it. We'll do the drapery and pose it and everything after we come up with a pose for the demon. Okay. We could give him horns. We could give him, say, dragonborn horns. And let's increase the size. There we go. And then rotate it X that way. And then we can pull it back. And that already looks pretty good. There's not going to need to be much tweaking on those. So we got his horns ready. Probably going to end up adding some horns down his back and shoulders. Okay. Now we take these and we parent them to the head after we close the drapery so we can see it. Now, let's see. What are we going to do for a pose? Hello, Outcast! Yay! You have made it. Okay. Suppose we could have him doing I am power, or charging forward and roaring, or any number of other similar poses. The question is personality. For something like this, the personality will determine the pose. Really, Carlton? Really? Sometimes you just can't even start a show without a little fuzzbutt coming in 4 or 5 times. Yes, it's Photobomb Kitty, who adores his daddy. Now he's turned up Velcro Kitty. No, no. I gotta put you back down on the ground so I can get work done. Get on, little buddy. Shoot. Well, is this demon going to be more of a savage, destroy everything in his path juggernaut? Or the cunning ruler of a small domain on his plane? Or, you know, the Doctor Doom, I am lawful evil. Things are better under my rule. They may not have freedom, but they have food. They have their jobs. What kind of personality do we want this demon? He's already going to be physically imposing. No, TJ. The only ones that cower in fear of a paladin are the demon, are the demons, not the devils. Or the hordlings. There you go, hordlings. Speaking of which, brief tangent. Are y'all familiar with the Hordlings? They started off in first edition, usually in, I think the actual first appearance was in Monster Manual 2, first edition. And what it was you basically had a chart. Different head shapes, torso shapes, limb types, facial shapes. And you rolled randomly to see what you ended up with. And they were medium or large, random armor class, random half the stuff. And the idea was that everything on the Grey Wastes was slightly chaotic and slightly lawful, but totally evil. But it meant that nothing was ever constant except that Hordlings were Hordlings. They were kind of they were potentially nasty, but yeah. Okay, so we got the horns in place. We already know we're gonna have to pose so that the horns don't get in the way. All right. I'm gonna go with. Actually, let's give him a weapon. Let's give him like an axe or a mace or something to that effect. Do we want to do a glaive? No. Let's see, what weapon would do best for something like this? And I don't think it's going to be a Morning Star, or a rapier, or a short sword. And definitely not a scythe. No orky weapons. Let's go ahead and just make it a halberd. Uh-oh, that didn't look good. I think the hand shrunk. This hand parameters 138.9. Oh, no, it didn't. 138.9. Okay, now we're going to take that. Let's go ahead and Y scale. Y scale it just, no, not Y scale, Z scale it just a little. No, it's still not right. This will make it a great axe. Okay. Back view. There we go. Actually, let's move the center there. Onto there. Perspective view. Let's bring the scale back to 100. And then Z scale it. Z-tran out, and then we're also going to kind of shorten it back here with the move tool when it comes time. Okay, so he's got a big ol' axe. He's got an axe to grind with somebody. Okay. So let's see, that'll be left leg forward. Actually, let's go ahead and take that hip and rotate it forward. Go to the front view to see how this is coming. Actually, that's not bad. Let's kind of pull up the toe. Okay, there we go. He's got his, what will be his hooves in a good position. And then twisting the torso, abdomen and chest, twist. And let's make sure this is. Okay. And let's side to side this. Okay. And then this arm, let's bring it forward a little bit and up a little. Twist here. And bend that like that. And bend that. And then we're just going to bend the tips of the fingers. And the tip of the thumb. Whoop, wrong way. Now we're going to turn the head, not the neck. Too much on the head. So we're going to side to side it a little bit, and the reason it was too much on the head is that it actually caused the horns to start poking through the neck. The idea is that he's looking down at whatever it is he's about to squish. He's not that big though, so pull the head back a little. And let's add one more thing. Go back to Content Library, go to Magic. And we're going to add in some kind of, let's see. Let's put an orb in his hand. Oh, and once again we have left hand 138, was it 138.9? 138.9. And now twist the hand. Okay. So that is the start of our big nasty demon. Okay. Now that orb, we're going to turn into something horrific. Well, not horrific. Something that more deadly looking than just a ball. So let's hide the horns, the axe, the orb, and now let's make the drapery visible. And now it's time to make this. Okay, so we're going to select all 10 pieces, zoom in. This one, we are going to pull to the right a little bit, and we're going to kind of pivot it. And rotate it a bit. And rotate it out a bit. Oh, not supposed to hit that. Bend them all back like this, side to side over that way. And then this one, we're going to kind of continue to pull it out a little bit. We're going to go side to side back the other way and twist it. Then we're going to go to the front. Okay, good. Perspective view. Let's deselect everything and pull out. Okay, now we're going to hide the drapery and the base. We're going to zoom in on the head, because we do want to do a few things with the head. Specifically, let's go ahead and pull up, twist, and side this and out a bit. And mirror. So we get more of a, actually let's lower this one a bit. Let's see. Give him a little bit of a smirk. Give him a personality more than just a pose. Okay, that is our basic shape. So file, export, and we're going to send this to broadcast miniatures, new folder, big Daemon. This is Daemon body. Accept. Gonna hide him and export the horns. File, export, Daemon horns. Accept. Hide, unhide. File, export, Daemon X. Accept. Hide the axe. Make the orb visible. Daemon orb. Hide the orb. Make the drapery visible. Let's just for the sake of things easier. No. There we go. File, export, Daemon drapes. Hide that and file, export, Daemon base. Accept. And ZBrush it is. I just think that the Great Axe worked a bit better. Okay, now we're going to import broadcast miniatures, new, big Daemon, Daemon body. Edit frame. Zoom out just a little. Hold on just a second. Yeah, there we go. And bring this down. Okay, there we go. It's fully in there. Alright, now we're going to append, import. The first thing we're going to append is the horns. Append, import drapes. Append, import axe, and import orb, and append import base. Okay, now the thing is, I'm going to go ahead and do something funky with the base. Okay. So we're going to hide everything else. And we're going to go ahead and under geometry, we're going to subdivide it a couple times until it's around there. 3.5 million is good enough. Frame. Okay, so we now have to dynamesh it. Dynamesh it at 1024 ing ding dum bum bum. And now, yeah, that's much better. So what we're going to do now is we're going to we're going to select it from here. Mask everything except the absolute top. Oh wait, no, I remember what I was going to do. So we go back, let's just invert the mask. We are now going to extract from the base a 0 thickness item. Extract. We're now going to hide the base. Wait a minute, no. Extract, accept, that's it. We're now going to hide the base, and you'll notice it's a single-sided item. Alright, now we are going to use slice curve. Okay? We're going to slice a whole lot of zigzags. What's happening is we're turning it into different groups. Looks kind of jagged and ragged right now, doesn't it? That's good. We don't want things to be completely... Okay. That looks good for now, but what we're going to do next is we're going into edge loop. We're going to reduce the loops to 1 and the thickness to 0.1. Like panel loops. Okay, that didn't do what I needed. Okay. Thickness to 0.01. Polish 10. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do, turning off the line fill, we're going to go to deformation, and we're going to polish 100%. And then again. And then again. And then we're going to Y-scale it quite a bit. Yes, there's a reason why it's doing this. We're going to then polish it quite a bit. And relax it a lot. Then we're going to deflate it. Polish it 100%. And then we're going to take the current brush and make it humongoid. And polish the whole thing. Quite a lot. Okay. Then we're going to inflate it a bit. Then we're going to polish it quite a lot. And just keep doing this. Okay. Then we're going to inflate. And then 1, 2. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to make the base visible. Deselect that. And then we're going to use the move tool to zoom out quite a bit for this because of how it's located, to bring this back mostly on top. Dadgum, what's going on? Okay. Alright, now let's zoom out a little bit more. Let's bring it up just a little bit. Okay. That'll do. Now, it doesn't look like much yet, because we're going to tweak it and we're going to use what's called a noisemaker function on it to make these into like rocks on lava. So first we've got to go to Z plugin and UV master. Okay, we're going to enable control painting. Let's hide the base again. And attract from ambient occlusion. Now what that's doing is it's finding the areas that are close to another area and shading them. And it's going to try to make the seams be in areas. As you can see, the blue areas are where it's going to try to make the seams. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is turn off symmetry, turn on unwrap all. And it's just now starting the unwrap. Hello, baby girl. What are you doing? Coming down into Daddy's lap. Oh, I see. You want to go get food, and you want pettins before you get your food. Oh, crazy girl. Okay. All right, go. Shoo. Okay. Oh, I'm an idiot. I hit unwrap all instead of unwrap. I don't want to unwrap everything, just this. And that's about 64 groups there. Oh well, it didn't work. I guess I'm going to have to go ahead and just go to the inflate brush. Keep it this big. Let's change that. Focal shift like this. And the alpha, we're going to go to a... We're going to make a noise alpha. So in order to do that, let me go ahead and... Whoops, wrong one. Head here. Hello, Themo. I gotta open Photoshop to make the alpha I'm getting ready to do. And I don't like starting up programs with the program visible. Okay, let's go ahead and from here we're gonna head back to here. Photoshop. Fit on screen. Add a layer, and we're going to filter Forge. Okay. Check for updates. No updates found. Now, we're going to filter a bump map. We're then going to come in here and change and play with the settings. And this one. Yeah, that's about right. And apply. What this is doing is it's creating a height map. Where it is black, nothing will happen. Where it is white, something will happen. However, we can change that once we get into ZBrush. Bam. Okay, Control-Shift-E. Control-Shift-Save as a bitmap, BMP. Oh, I see, yeah. Image mode. RGB color 8 bits channel. There. Save BMP, and that's going under storage 3D 3D printing home meshes minis alphas Rocky Alpha 01. Okay, now we go back to ZBrush and we're going to load in that Rocky Alpha 01. Open. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to do something. Control Shift L. There we go. Control Save. Rocky Alpha 02. Because I don't want to have to go through the bother of reloading. Import Rocky Alpha 02. Now, when we go to Alpha, also, yeah, brush needs to be turned on, but just hidden. This is what I want to hit. Alpha, modify. Where it says mid value, 0 is 1, 0 is black, 100 is white. We want this to be kind of around a 38. We also can start shrinking this down a bit. And let's change it from dots to drag dot. A bit too much. Drop that intensity down to 15. Alright. Go. Good girl. Alright, that didn't work right. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete the auto tone over here. We're going to duplicate layer. We're going to multiply. Control Shift E, Control Shift Save. 03. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it, instead of being like this, to be more like that. Okay. So now we're going back here. We're going to hit Control Z to turn that off. And import Rocky Alpha 3. It's also, I'm going to move midpoint. Oh, the mid value is at 0. Let's bring this up to 45. No, let's bring it up to 63. No. Mid value needs to be 50. And let's intensity up. Alright, now let's bring that mid value back down quite a bit to around 20. Yeah. So this way it looks more like rocks. And then it's time to break out the ever-loving tablet that was kind of sitting underneath generic Kroger brand Cheetos. And first let's bring the focus back to 0, draw size of that, remove the alpha, and go back to dots from when we next need to use inflate, but we're going to move topological. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of draw these around until they don't quite look as geometric. We want to kind of bring them around, and then we're going to go to regular move because I think that would work better. Yeah. because we're gonna kind of just drag it. Then go to the move topological and kind of bring them around and weird out some of these shapes. Bring them unified, unify some of them to try and get these to look a bit more erratic. And the end result is we'll end up with something that kind of looks almost like rocks and lava. We're also going to kind of bring some of them down and some of them up a bit. Not a lot. Okay. Now we're going to merge down. No, not skin shade 4. It needs to be Sculpting. Yeah, there we go. And now we're going to geometry. We're going to Dynamesh and Dynamesh at 1024 again. And then with this guy visible, yeah. Okay, that's good. That's all we need. We've done the base. We got a body now. Okay. We're gonna start. We're gonna make the horns visible so that we can tweak around them. Actually, we're going to move some of these horns. That one's gonna go up to there, right below the ear, on both sides. And we're gonna go in here. Come on. What the hell? What the hell is going on here? Okay, that's better. Nope. Shrink the mouse. There we go. Smooth. Reset current brush. That might be needed. Not doing anything. Look at that. It's doing nothing. Oh, heck. Okay, let me go ahead and turn everything on. I'm going to save as Broadcast Miniatures, new, Big Daemon, Daemon Body Z tool. I'm going to close this. And I'm also going to pop here because I got to reboot ZBrush. Yay. And so give me a second here. And where did I put ZBrush? There it is. Okay, sorry about that. And apparently we're having some issues locally with the TV. I might have to pop out for a second. And of course, it also means that I might, you know, just lose all connection for a moment. Currently got 0 drop frames though, so let's go back to ZBrush. Load tool. No, big demon buddy. Okay, and we go back to him. We turn off all the rest. Go to edit. Document new. Okay. Frame. We're going to go into that mouth and we're going to try and see what happens when we smooth it. Shrink. Yeah, see there it's going. The reason why we're smoothing out the inner mouth like this is because, well, this makes it easier to print. We're going to end up making some teeth to go in here. Actually, if you can hold on just a second, I'm being called away to help with something. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Let's go back to ZBrush. And now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to find any areas that we need to actually tweak on geometry before we minimize, before we subdivide. And we're going to do that using the inflate tool. The sub, let's reduce the intensity a little bit. I'm going to kind of pull in down here. And right in here. A little bit of smoothing. Okay, and then make it add. Pull up this area. Now you'll notice I don't care that I'm overlapping, because when we go ahead and subdivide, we'll also be dynameshing, which will fix all of that. Let's kind of bring it up here. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to inflate the butt. Yes, I know. Inflate the butt. And we're doing this because his little loincloth thingy, no fuzz butt, his little loincloth thingy is going to have a cloth piece that comes up under the crotch area and back onto the back of his nethers. Okay. Now, we're going to reduce the size and intensity a little bit. We're going to kind of emphasize the rib cage under here just a little bit. And then we're going to add in where the abs are. We're going to ab them in. Next, let's go ahead and deal with parts of the problems with the hand before we get to any further. And that's just this. Okay, now we go from the subtool to geometry. We're going to divide to 3. And then Dynamesh 768. And then we blend these areas that got fused in the sculpting, including back here. We're also going to smooth out right here and right here. Okay, frame out. We're not going to do too much more with this until we're ready. Because the next thing that we're going to mess with is placing the horns. And that's what's placing as putting on bulgy areas around them. And so what we're going to do, we're going to use inflate. We're going to first make this big enough to cover. Actually, let's shrink it down because we want to kind of draw around where Ralph. Gee, go figure. Let's smooth that. Ralph? No. We're going to kind of loop around this one. We're trying to make like the base where the skin is building up around where the horn actually goes into the skull. So now the horns actually look like they're part of the head. We're going to tweak the head a little bit more using the move tool. A little bit higher. We're going to turn on that. We're going to pull up the nose. But we're going to make it a little bit wider and a little bit not quite as sticky outy. A bit flatter and a bit higher up. And then a bit less down, a little bit more up. Then we're going to slightly smooth it out a little to give it a little bit of rounding. Okay. Do you mind, little crazy cat? So, which of y'all is still here, by the way? Because sometimes I wonder when I'm talking to just nobody and when I'm talking to everybody. We're going to subdivide these just a little bit. But the next thing to sculpt on is actually going to be his orb. Okay. Alright. Now, first things first, we need to make sure this is Chapel Sculpt E. There we go. Alright. Now, any suggestions on what to do with the orb? What I used to do, I kind of haven't done it in a while, but it's still something that's in the back of my mind when I do that, is I found the STL for a 5.56 round, the M16 bullet, and an STL for the chain, the link chain, for when you to make the actual belt. And just to show you, oops, that one's broken. Yep. And that's the actual size. This is the actual size of the rounds and the belt. I was thinking having like a face and hands pushing out from the orb, like it's a trapped soul or something. And hello, Mark. Hi. Skadoodle, Ralph. Skadoodle. Yeah. Skedaddle. Two. Happy Cleric reached 17th level day. Gained resurrection. Alright. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I've got it refined enough. And then I'm just going to start using the clay tool to draw out that and then just kind of the area where the face is going to be. Alright, that's just the general area of where the head is. We're going to end up just kind of drawing in some wrinkly bits that stretching out from that. We're actually going to go ahead and move, make it bigger, grab center, pull it out kind of like that. And then it's just a very rough sketch right now. We're going to go over it with a smooth tool, and then we're going to refine some of those details in just a second. And then we're going to draw on where the No, we want that to be slightly further away. There we go. Oh, Lord, Mom's watching that daggum bar rescue again. Alright, and then go back to move, make it much bigger. And we're going to kind of drag it out. Make it look more like he's trying to stretch his way out. And then hit it very briefly. With the smooth tool to make the geo that we're going to start sculpting the details on. Okay, now we go back to geometry. We're going to Dynamax it 768. Okay, and give it 1 level division, 2 levels, because we got to put in a lot of detail on this. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to kind of use the inflate tool to draw on our basic shapes. And then we're going to use slash tool to slice between the fingers. And oh, way too deep. And I forgot to turn off Lazy Mouse, so Now, we're going to go to scale or magnify. There it is, magnify. Let's make this bigger. What we're going to do is we're going to magnify this part. And then we're going back to inflate, make this bigger, subtract, and we're going to kind of just draw in some shapes here. Kind of make it look a little bit more bag-like. Then we're going to go back to slash, but this time we're going to make them add a lot lower, a lot larger. And we're going to kind of draw in these stretch marks. And then we're going to go ahead with a sub. We're going to mark out deeper under the brow, and deeper into the mouth. Now back here, we need to kind of, I know what I'll do back here. I'm going to grab snake hook. We're going to make this look less like an orb and more like some kind of larva. And then smooth that out. Okay. Frame out. Zoom out. And now we're going back to slash, add, and we're going to kind of just draw in some just lines to give it some texture and some interest more than just a smoothie weird thing, which it is, but and now let's just go ahead and look. Make the other subtools visible. We're actually going to shrink this a little. The deformation size. And then we're going to use the move tool. There. Let's bring him back just a little bit more. Kind of, yeah, there we go. Okay. So now that orb has been turned into like a larva. Okay, now I could see that being painted as almost lava, yeah. While I'm thinking about it, we're going to go ahead and use the move tool. And I'm going to just grab some of these rocks and turn them into spikes. Actually, I need to move topological tool. Okay, so there he is. Yeah. Now, let's go ahead and do the axe next. We're actually going to vanish most of this, except for the body itself. I'm going to subdivide it a couple times. Lower. And a Dynamesh at 512. And now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add in some... Let's make it Hellfire. Let's use the... where is it? The Orb Cracks 2 brush. Turn off the lazy mouse. Actually, no, let's leave lazy mouse on. We'll just shrink down the size quite a bit. And we're going to draw on no. Let's do this. Let's mask. It's mask off. Bring that in. And then we're going to sharpen it a bit. Okay, and then come up this way. This might end up getting continued on Tuesday for the sculpt of the beastie himself. Saying it's already 9:30. And then we're gonna do bring it around. Close it out. I should note this should be focal. Yeah, there we go. It's better. There we go. And on this side, I'm gonna go ahead and Okay. And then one last little bit of fire here. Okay, now, I need to sharpen up the bottom of that and the bottom of this. Okay, and then let's sharpen up this back end here. Okay, that's going to be flames. We're going to extract and accept. Draw, draw. Now, you can see where these flames are going to be. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use orb cracks. Let's make it negative and broad. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to start off down here. Anyway, that's the basis for that. Okay, we're just kind of drawing out the lines for the flame bits here now. Ah, that one didn't come out well. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and switch back to that, make it a little bit deeper and a little bit wider. And it's time to draw on okay. Okay, and now the back side. And then we come back down here and finish this part off. This is the Orb Cracks brush, in case you're wondering. I've just got it set to... I used it set to add to create the sharper effects. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to deformation, and we are going to polish. And then relax. Zoom out. And there's our hellfire on the axe. Hello, Sean. Yes, this is ZBrush. I did a lot of my initial work in another program, but I mean, I go through that on almost every video I do. Oh, give me a second. I need some soda. All right. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tweak the handle of the axe. What we're going to do is first we're going back up to the subtool for the axe itself. Make sure that we got it deselected. And then we're going to grab the move tool. And we're going to grab the whole thing, kind of start warping. Actually, another one of those, we got to do move topological so that we don't grab the blade for this. Grab and start bulging out areas of the handle. Make it like it's not entirely like a wooden polished shaft, but rather something a bit more organic. We're also going to kind of grab this here, pull it up, and then we're going to grab it down here and pull. Bring this in. Make it a little bit shorter because it is a one-handed axe for him, even if it would be a two-handed axe for a lot of people, because he's a monstrous Daemon lord. Okay. Actually, like that. We're going to go ahead and give this a polish of 10. And then we go back to subtool, and we're going to merge down to blend the axe and its flames, or its stylized, engraved flames. And see, we have the orb and base done. The orb, of course, having been turned into a larva, and the base being kind of just this rocky, spiky terrain. Horns, drapes, and body are pretty much going to be Tuesday's sculpt. because this is a lot of stuff to work on. Only thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use the inflate tool to kind of pull a bit out from here. Wait. Let me make sure I have auto masking back face mask on. Pull a little bit out here. And then move topological to grab this section and pull it back. Now, by smoothing here, we're pulling it out just a bit. Okay. And we're going to add in everything else on his clothing and his ornamentation and his organic details like his scales and his teeth next time. It's already 20 till 10. I do not have the time to finish this sculpt on this show. So we have the start of our big demon. And to give a better view on the size of this guy, I'm going to import my practice test. Wait. Append polymesh. Import. And painting practice figure. And we're going to drag him over a little bit. We're going to lower him down there. And then we're going to drag him up to the side. You can see he's a big guy, but he's not, like, totally immense. He's about the small size of size large. We might end up making him a little bit bigger before we export. But when you consider that his axe is bigger than this guy's entire torso and head combined, yeah, that's still a pretty big axe. Alright, so let's remove the painting practice figure. And then what we do in order to save what we're working on with the various subtools and all their various statuses, we save it as a Z tool. Yes. And go back to here. Okay. Okay. Now, we got about 18 minutes left. Now, I mentioned them earlier in the show, but there was a critter that started in first edition, the Monster Manual 2. And I believe that the critter appeared in some future versions of D&D. I don't think it has appeared in 5th Ed. That creature is the Hordlings of Hades. Some of you might know the cosmology of the outer planes in D&D. And yes? What are you doing? Besides trying to shove your back into my chin. Anyway. So, the Hordlings of Hades. Hades is one of the outer planes on the lower end of the spectrum. One of the planes between the abyss and hell. It's one of, there's 3 planes between. It's one of the 3. I forget which one it is. I think it's the one directly in the middle. You've got Acheron, Hades, and one other. But it's basically, it's neutral evil. And to represent the fact that it was partly touched by chaos and partly touched by law, they had a basic humanoid-shaped demon with random-shaped head, random-shaped torso, random hand types, random face types. It was a whole chart. It was literally filled an entire page of the Monster Manual 2 with the random charts, which were mostly D6, D8s, and then a little notation that if this is their body weapon, this is how much damage it does. And the color was just whatever color. The problem was, a lot of those descriptive terms were abstract. And, like, gibbering. Or, sorry, gibbering. Yeah. This one is like glowing because of the way the camera is reacting to the light involved. And I find that hilarious. It is Saint Shinju of the pillow. Anyway. Don't forget drinking from a mug. And yes, this is cola. Cheapo cola, but cola. Now, most of you have not seen what I'm about to show you, but I got the Odiug fully painted. Okay, let's see if I can do this a little bit better by doing it this way. Hold on. A little bit more light. It's not doing it. Let's see what happens. Oh, I know. There we go. Let's see if I can get the autofocus done manually. The stupid camera settings are just kind of... Yes, I said they're... Off that. Turn off autofocus. Zoom in. Still too much, too close. Okay. There we go. I would call this a tabletop tier paint job. You can see I got his feet all crusted up with that textured paint from Games Workshop. The mouth, you get that hollow that's actually painted onto the flat surface of the mouth. It's got blue eyes. And it's fading kind of a yellow brown at top to a greenish brown to an almost pure green at the feet. Yep. Arrgh! And I need to put more batteries in my top light, in my front lighting. The lights I have right there. They're ultra cheap, like $5 Best Buy or Big Lots lights. We're talking this with 3 stages, and the brightest brightest version of it is horribly, horribly dim. I need to put new batteries in it. Yeah, I got cheapo Rayovacs in it. That's what came with them. And they suck. They really suck. My shirt is so blue that when I get in front of the camera like that, it turns everything else yellow to try and compensate. Anyway. Is there anyone watching right now who was old enough to remember the D&D Satanic Panic? Is there anyone watching this video right now who remembers when there was this whole big old panicky chaos about, oh, D&D's demonic and it'll make you kill some monsters and it's a cult. Yeah. Well, fortunately for me, first of all, I'm actually a second generation gamer. Old as I am, this gray hair and severe wrinkles and, etc., etc. Yeah, I turned 50 in November. I'm a second generation gamer. My dad got me into gaming. Of course, he didn't start with D&D, although he had actually played the old pamphlets that were the size of piece of paper folded in half, several printed on cheap low end printers, not computer printers because they couldn't do it. I'm talking about actual printing machines. And so he started me and my brother off with Car Wars. Cars with guns blowing each other up on the freeway. Yeah. And then, of course, graduated to D&D, and my brother ended up, not being as interested as I was. Although he's doing more, he's actually helping run one of the local sci-fi cons. Anyway, when the Satanic Panic really hit, I'd been gaming for a couple years, because it was around 82, 83 that I remember that, at least in Memphis, the Satanic Panic was at its peak. And my parents were like, it's like, please. And the best part is, my parents raised me Catholic. Go figure. But one of the side effects of the Satanic Panic was when 2nd edition D&D came around, there were no demons and devils anymore. Instead, there were Tanari and Batezu. Ooh. So, because of the Satanic Panic, there were no longer angels. There were celestials. Planetars, solars, those kind of things. Astral devas, Movanic and monadic devas. And the Slad got popular. The Slad pretty much were a Fiend Folio thing that was just a little weird thing, but they got really popular for some reason. A lot of games I played during 2nd edition. And of course, they changed the way that Find Familiar works. Oh. Yeah, see, Magic the Gathering, when I started playing it, it was what you played while waiting on the rest of your D&D group to show up to game night. And then it became a thing in and of itself. Crazy kid. Yeah. I think you're a little tired, aren't you, little furball? Yeah. Oh, I put you down. And then eventually, Magic became a thing in and of itself, and people played Magic instead of playing D&D, and it kind of split several gaming groups I knew. The ones who just wanted to play Magic, and the ones who wanted to play D&D. Of course, back then, a lot of the rules hadn't really codified. For example, when we brought out our decks, they were stacked this high. It's all my green cards. Honest, nobody batted an eye because everybody was doing that. And then came the first tournaments and the tournament plays, and then people realized, wait a minute, people are making money selling these cards? What does Black Lotus do? It makes you a lot of money. Yeah. I saw more problems in Memphis, Tennessee. Than I saw with D&D, but the counter response was 10 times stronger. It's like, you think Harry Potter's satanic? Are you insane? Go figure. That someone would think that a series about doing what is right instead of what is easy and how racism and discrimination is wrong would have a lot of people defending it. Meanwhile, comic books. There was a preacher who wanted to burn comic books. Not a single comic book shop, drugstore, bookstore, or anyone would sell him any comic books to burn. They refused to provide him any comic books to burn. So he told his followers to, bring all of your kids' comic books and we'll burn them. This was in the 90s, during the height of the speculator boom. Nobody wanted to bring their kids' comics to burn in case they were worth money. It was a total flop. Okay, it's almost 10. Now, to remind you, I will have a show Tuesday. I will not have a show Thursday. The reason being is my Wednesday group is losing one of our members. This is the tightest that I have ever seen a D&D Encounters group be. To the point where, because we are losing one of our members, we are taking her out to dinner at a steakhouse and giving her a going away dinner. 9 people. 9 people that are just tight. We care about each other. We look out for each other. We meet outside of game. I've been doing D&D Encounters for 6 years. This is the first iteration of the group that has been this close. So, yeah, we're taking her out to dinner, and she's going to be 2 hours away, just over on the other side of the Mississippi River in Arkansas. But she doesn't drive, so she's not going to be able to come back to game for a long time, not unless she comes back on vacation or something like that. So, Tuesday, yes. Thursday, no. Tuesday, we're going to finish up the demon we were sculpting tonight. Probably going to give him some nice scales and, back, spines on the back of his arm and shoulders. make that face a lot more demonic looking and less just horror. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hold up my hand, and I'm going to count from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I'm gonna say something goofy and go and then sign out. When I see my finger go So, first of all, how many of you people actually stay to hear what goofy thing I say after I get to 1? Any of you? If you're watching this after the fact, let me know in the comments if you do. Now, go ahead and let me know in the chat if you do. Okay, because that's going to be a 5, 4, a 3, 2, and a 1. If someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.